My wife chose Christmas dinner at her parents' table to tell everyone our son wasn't mine and she was taking half. The only thing she didn't plan for was that I'd been waiting 6 months for her to say it out loud. Her mom's dining room was the kind of warm that makes you forget your shoulders are tight. Ham, brown sugar, cinnamon candles. An entire operation built around pretending families don't crack. I sat at the far end of the table because that's where they always put me. Ryan the provider, Ryan the workhorse. Ryan the guy who brings the good bottle and fixes the loose railing. Her dad was half watching football in the other room, shouting at the TV between bites. Her brothers were arguing about trucks. Kids were running laps in socks, slapping the hallway walls like it was their job. Amanda waited until dessert. Of course she did. She liked timing. She liked having an audience. She liked leaving people only one direction to look. She tapped a white envelope on the table with one finger, light, playful, like she was announcing a promotion. Her smile was practiced, bright in a way that didn't reach her eyes. I watched her hands. I always watch her hands now. Surprise, she said, drawing it out like a game. Her mother leaned forward, already softening. Her sister Taylor stopped chewing. Chairs creaked as bodies angled in. Amanda slid the envelope across the table toward me. Caleb isn't your son, she said, loud enough for the room to hear every syllable. And I'm taking half. A fork clinked against a plate somewhere. Then nothing. Not even the kids. It was like someone turned the volume down on the entire house. Her mom blinked, still trying to translate it into something good. Like maybe this was adoption papers. Like maybe surprise was a baby announcement. She looked at the envelope again, confused, and then at me like I was supposed to help. My heartbeat didn't spike. It slowed. That was the strangest part. The calm coming in like a door closing. Because I already knew what was inside. 6 months ago, I would have stood up so fast the chair would have hit the wall. I would have said something that felt strong and sounded weak. I would have made it easy for her to point and say, see, this is why I had to leave. Instead, I picked up the envelope like it weighed nothing. I opened it in front of everyone because this is what she wanted, public confirmation, public shame. I pulled the paper out and read the number she thought would break my spine. 0%. I didn't flinch. I didn't look down again. I set the page on the table, squared to the edge like a contractor lining up a cut. Amanda's smile twitched. Just a fraction. She was watching for the moment I'd finally look like the villain she'd been describing in private. I met her eyes. Hold them. Let the silence stretch until it belonged to me. Then I said, evenly, like I was reminding her about a meeting she forgot, check your email. For one beat, she didn't move. Like her brain refused to accept a script change mid-scene. Then her fingers went to her phone, fast and tight, and I saw it in her face. The first flicker of uncertainty. She thought she'd planted a bomb under my chair. She didn't realize she'd been eating dinner on top of my minefield. 6 months earlier, Caleb's preschool called in the middle of a job estimate. Mr. Mitchell? Caleb's having a reaction. His lips look puffy. He's breathing, but the woman's voice went thin. We already called the clinic. I was in a gravel parking lot with a clipboard in my hand and heat rising off the hood of my truck. I dropped the pen like it burned me. I'm coming, I said. No extra words. No questions that didn't matter. The pediatric clinic smelled like disinfectant and kid shampoo. Caleb sat on the table with a sticker on his shirt and fear behind his eyes, trying to act tough because that's what he thought I expected from him. Hey, bud, I said, keeping my voice level. You did good. He held out his hand like he'd been waiting for permission. His fingers were small and sweaty. He squeezed hard when the nurse prepped the needle. Don't look, I told him. Look at me. He stared at my face like it was the only stable thing in the room. When it was over, he exhaled like a grown man. The doctor came back later with that calm, practiced smile. He's okay. No lasting effects. We'll note the allergy and keep an eye on it. Relief hit first. Simple. Clean. Then she flipped a page on her clipboard, the tone shifting without her meaning to. His blood type is B positive, she said. We have dad as O positive and mom as A positive. Just confirming, Are those correct? I felt my throat close. Not from panic. From the way my brain went instantly quiet, like it didn't want to hear the next sentence. Yes, I said. That's right. She hesitated, polite and careful. Sometimes records are entered wrong. It happens. But that combination doesn't usually produce a B positive. Usually. That word sat there like a nail. I tried to make it normal. Could it be a typo? Possibly, she said, already backing out of it. Doctors don't want to start fires in exam rooms. We can recheck if you'd like. I nodded like a man who still lived in a simple world. Caleb was swinging his feet, humming, oblivious. I walked out holding his hand. I buckled him into his car seat, asked him what he wanted for dinner, and listened to him explain dinosaurs like nothing had changed. I drove past our street. Keep going. A strip mall lab sat between a nail salon and a payday loan place. The sign promised peace of mind in bright letters. Inside, it was white walls and cheap chairs and a woman at a counter who didn't look up like she'd seen every version of a man trying not to shake. I need a private test, I said. She slid forms to me. Rush processing costs extra. I'll pay it. My hands weren't steady signing my name. That's the only place the truth showed. 3 days I lived split down the middle. Daytime dad reading dinosaur books and pouring bathwater. Nighttime stranger watching my phone like it was a weapon. Amanda talked about schedules and groceries and her January plans, and I nodded, hearing a different meaning under every word. At 2:07 a.m. the email came. I locked myself in the bathroom so the light wouldn't wake anyone. The phone glow was harsh, making my face look older than it was. I opened the PDF. Probability of paternity, 0%. No, maybe, no margin. Just a clean cut. I stared until my eyes stopped watering and my breathing evened out. Something inside me shut off. Something loud and naive and hungry to be loved by people who didn't deserve it. I could have woken her up. I could have burned the house down with words. Instead, I made a choice in that cold bathroom. I wouldn't explode. The plan. The next morning, Amanda asked if I could swing by a roof before lunch. I said yes. I kissed her cheek. I poured Caleb cereal. I did everything normal enough to not leave fingerprints. Then I drove downtown instead. David Lawson's office sat above a printing shop like it was ashamed to be seen. The waiting room had gray chairs, a water dispenser, and the kind of silence you only hear when people are trying not to fall apart. A framed poster on the wall said something about new beginnings. It looked like a lie somebody paid for. David came out, mid-50s, clean suit, eyes that didn't waste time. He shook my hand like he already knew why I was there. In his office, I put the DNA report on his desk. Then I told him everything: blood types, the clinic, the lab, the 2 a.m. email. I told him about Amanda pushing me into longer hours, pushing for separate accounts, talking about protecting ourselves like she'd been reading a script. David didn't react the way people do at Christmas tables. No shock, no pity, just attention. When I finished, he leaned back and said, "All right, here's the part most guys don't want to hear." I waited. "Biology doesn't automatically erase legal fatherhood," he said. "If you're on that birth certificate and you've acted as the father, the court may still see you as responsible, especially after years." The words landed slow, not dramatic. Worse, practical. "So I pay," I said. "You could," he replied, "if you handle this wrong." I pictured Amanda telling a judge I was unstable. I pictured her tears on command, the clean narrative. Workaholic husband, emotionally abusive, never home, now furious because he's caught. I saw how easy it would be for her to turn my anger into her shield. David folded his hands. "If you confront her now, she'll run straight to court with a story. You give her the first punch. Don't." "What do I do?" My voice stayed even. That mattered. "You stay calm," he said. "You change nothing on the surface. You document everything. Money, messages, dates, patterns. And we build a case before she knows she's in one." A long quiet sat between us. I nodded once. Not because I liked it, because it was real. When I got home, Amanda barely looked up from her phone. How's the client? The roof's fine, I said. Just needs flashing replaced. She laughed like I was bored. Inside, I started my second life. The one where every receipt, payment, and email became a brick in the wall I was building around Caleb and myself. Taylor called after dark. Her voice wasn't drunk or dramatic. It was thin, like she was trying to hold it together with her teeth. Can you meet me somewhere? Not the house. Where? I asked. Burger place off Highway 6. Drive-through lot. 10 minutes. I got there first and parked under a busted light that flickered like it couldn't commit. The air was warm for night, that Texas heat that clings to your skin even when the sun's gone. My truck ticked as it cooled. I watched the entrance in the side mirror. Taylor's car pulled in slow. She sat for a second, hands locked on the wheel, then got out and came to my passenger door like she didn't want anyone to see her choosing a side. When she climbed in, her eyes were red. She smelled like peppermint gum and panic. I shouldn't be doing this, she said. You're here, I answered. She swallowed and stared straight ahead through the windshield. I was watching Caleb last week. Amanda left her phone on the counter. It lit up. I saw the name. I didn't ask which one. I already knew the shape of it. Taylor pulled her own phone out, thumb shaking. I started taking pictures. I didn't know what else to do. She opened a folder and handed it to me like it weighed 100 pounds. Screenshots, dates, threads. Jason Cole's name sat there, casual and ugly, like it belonged. Amanda's words were worse. Not romance, not even guilt, just calculation, measured talk about timing, money, getting set, and how Caleb made it all easier. Like my son was a lever. One message hit like a hammer, he's a walking wallet. Another, once I'm done, I'll be set for life. And then the line that made my jaw go tight, Caleb is my insurance policy. My stomach turned, but my face stayed still. I kept breathing slow like David had told me, like anger was something I owned, not something that owned me. I looked at Taylor. Will you back this up? Her throat worked. She hesitated, fighting blood loyalty with the thing inside her that still knew right from wrong. Her voice cracked, then steadied. Yes, I'll keep everything. I'll write down dates. I'll testify if I have to. I nodded once. Good. Outside, cars rolled through the drive-thru like it was any other night. Inside my truck, the war finally had a witness. After Taylor's confession, life turned into a split ledger. Above the surface, I stayed Ryan Mitchell, the man who worked too much and paid on time. I ran roofing bids, checked solar installs, shook hands on job sites with dust on my boots. I sat on the couch with Amanda at night, nodded through her stories, and kissed Caleb's forehead like I hadn't watched my world die under a bathroom light. Underneath, I counted everything. Every transfer. Every accidental expense. Every time Amanda asked about revenue like she had a stake in a company she didn't build. She started getting specific, too. Not, how was your day? But, how's the quarter looking? Not, are we okay? But, what's your margin on the solar side now? One night she slid papers toward me at the kitchen table, smiling like she was being helpful. Jason said we should restructure for tax optimization. Smart. Protect us. I didn't even touch the pen. I glanced at the top page, LLC language, valuation notes, signature lines. The kind of paperwork that moves ownership without sounding like it. I'll let David look at it, I said. Her smile held for half a second too long. Tiny crack. Then she recovered and sipped her wine. Sure, babe. Whatever you want. That's when I knew she wasn't just cheating. She was chasing the safe. David's office became my second job. I'd show up with folders like I was delivering estimates. Printouts. Bank statements. Screenshots Taylor captured. Notes in plain language. November 3rd. Asked about payout if business sold. November 12th. Pushed me to sign restructuring. November 18th. Jason stopped by during Caleb's nap. David laid it all out across his desk one afternoon, quiet and methodical. This isn't only divorce, he said. This is the intent. He didn't say fraud like a movie villain. He said it like a plumber pointing at a leak. Practical. Fixable if you stop it before it floods the house. Taylor kept feeding us bricks. A recorded kitchen conversation where Amanda laughed about filing when the numbers look good. A note about her telling a friend she built a plan around a man who doesn't ask questions. Meanwhile, Amanda got sweeter as we approached the holidays. She cooked my favorites. She touched my arm more. She laughed louder in front of people. She started humming while she wrapped gifts, talking about how January is going to change everything. I'd stand behind her in the kitchen, watching the back of her head, hearing that sentence like a countdown. She thought she was setting the stage. I was building the trapdoor under it. Amanda's parents lived in one of those red brick neighborhoods where every lawn looks audited. White lights hung on every roofline, wreaths on every door. The kind of place built to prove nothing bad happens here. I parked in their driveway and sat for a second with my hands on the steering wheel. In the back seat, Caleb was asleep, mouth open, cheeks warm from the heater. I looked at him longer than I needed to. Then I glanced at the passenger seat. My phone, fully charged, notifications off, everything ready. In my truck bed was a duffel bag. In my pocket was a hotel key card. 10 minutes away, quiet, no surprises. We walked in, and the house hit us with noise and cinnamon and people acting normal. Kids running. Her dad yelled at the TV. Her mom pulled me into a hug like I was still her safe choice for her daughter. Amanda glowed, too bright, like she'd already won something. Ryan and Jason are killing it, she told her family, loud enough for everyone to hear. The business is taking off. We're finally in a good place. Jason wasn't there. Of course he wasn't. He didn't like rooms where men could look him in the eye too long. Dinner rolled on. Small talk. Plates passed. Compliments tossed around like snowflakes. I watched Amanda like you watch a storm line. Calm on the surface, ugly underneath. Dessert hit the table and the room shifted into that slower, satisfied quiet. That's when Amanda stood up and reached into her bag. The white envelope came out like a magic trick. She tapped it against the table, smiling. Okay, I have a surprise. Her mom leaned in, already soft. Her brothers sat up. Taylor's face went tight like she could see the car crash before the impact. Amanda turned toward me, performance ready. Caleb isn't your son, she said, crisp and clear. Then, with the same smile, and I'm taking half. She didn't just say it. She delivered it like she'd practiced in the mirror, like she'd imagined my face breaking, like she'd planned the exact moment her family would watch me shrink. The room went dead. I opened the envelope slowly, because speed would have looked like panic. I pulled out the report and read what I'd already read months ago. 0%. I set it down. Amanda's eyes locked onto mine, waiting for the eruption, waiting for the story she could tell later. He lost control. I was scared. I didn't give her any of it. Check your email, I said. The words didn't sound like revenge. They sounded like instructions. She frowned, confused for a heartbeat, then snatched her phone up. The screen lit her face in harsh blue. Her thumb moved fast. Subject line at the top. Draft Mitchell versus Mitchell petition and exhibits. Her mouth opened slightly, then shut. She scrolled. Her parents leaned in without meaning to, like gravity pulled them. Her mom's hand went to her chest. Her dad stepped into the doorway from the TV room, drawn by the silence. Amanda kept scrolling, eyes darting as if she could outrun what was written. The timeline, dates, screenshots, bank transfers, her own words, typed in her own thumbs, walking wallet, insurance policy, the plan laid out like a blueprint, timed around revenue and holidays and what she thought she could take. Taylor's evidence, my DNA test, the paper trail David told me to build. Amanda's face went from bright to pale to something else, something trapped. Her lips trembled like she wanted to speak, but the room was already reading the truth for her. I stood up, calm, controlled. I've known for 6 months, I said, not loud, not angry, just final. Then I picked up my coat, nodded once at her parents, because manners matter when you're burying someone's reputation, and walked out into the cold night toward the hotel and the next move. The courthouse smelled like old carpet and stress. Metal detector up front. Bailiff watched everyone like he'd seen every kind of lie. Couples sitting apart with folders on their laps, staring at their shoes like the floor might open and save them. David and I waited on a bench. He looked calm in that way lawyers do, like chaos is just paperwork with volume. I kept my hands still. No shaking. No pacing. If Amanda wanted a volatile husband, she wasn't getting one. She arrived dressed sharp, hair perfect, eyes already wet like she'd rehearsed in the mirror. Expensive attorney at her side. No Jason. He didn't show up when the consequences had fluorescent lighting. When the clerk called our case, Mitchell versus Mitchell, my stomach tightened anyway. Hearing your own name in that format does something to you. It turns your life into a file. Judge Karen Thompson sat high behind the bench, face flat and tired in the way that said she didn't come here to be entertained. David started clean and simple, the pediatric visit, the blood types, the private DNA test. Then the real point, 4 years of me showing up. Baths, pickups, doctor visits, bedtime books. A father in every way the kid actually experiences. Amanda's lawyer tried the angle I expected. Workaholic, emotionally absent, intimidating, controlling. Amanda dabbed at her eyes like that was proof. Judge Thompson didn't even blink. We're here for Caleb's best interest, she said, clipped. Not a character contest. Then David pivoted to intent. He laid out the timeline, affair, financial pressure, the push for restructuring, the planned reveal tied to business numbers. He asked for the exhibits. A screen came on. Amanda's texts, big and undeniable. Walking wallet. Insurance policy. The plan spelled out like she thought words couldn't be used against her. Amanda's face tightened. Her lawyer's jaw set. David called Taylor. She walked up shaking, then steadied when she spoke. Dates, what she saw, what she saved, what she recorded. No drama, just facts. Judge Thompson stared at Amanda for a long moment, like she was weighing more than this hearing. Finally, she spoke. Temporary orders, she said. Primary custody to Mr. Mitchell. Ms. Mitchell, supervised visitation only. Amanda made a sound like she'd been punched. Judge Thompson wasn't done. And I'm ordering genetic testing for Mr. Cole. I didn't smile. I didn't nod. I just exhaled, slow. First battle. Won. And for the first time in months, it felt like the court had seen what I'd seen in that envelope. Clear, cold, and undeniable. Winning in court didn't feel like victory. It felt like responsibility getting heavier. Caleb and I moved back into my house like it was new territory. I set his room up the way a man does when he's done pretending this is temporary. Bed made right, nightlight plugged in, dinosaur books stacked where he could reach them. His little shoes by the door, not tossed in a corner like a guest. The first week was chaos. Scrambled eggs that came out rubbery because I was answering a job site call with one hand. Mismatched socks because I forgot preschool picture day existed. A lunchbox left on the counter twice before I started setting alarms like a rookie. I learned the rhythm fast because I had to. Morning meant packing snacks, finding a clean shirt, and making sure he brushed teeth without turning it into a fight. Midday meant bouncing between job estimates and calls to the sitter. Afternoon meant 3:30 pickups instead of 12-hour days. Night meant bath time, 2 books, and him falling asleep with his hand on my forearm like he needed proof I wasn't going anywhere. It was exhausting. It was also the first honest work I'd done in years. One night, he looked up at me on the couch and said, "This is my favorite day, Daddy. 'Cause I was with you all day." That hit harder than any number on a profit sheet. Amanda got supervised visits at a family center. Neutral room, cameras, a staff member taking notes, toys that looked clean but didn't feel loved. She couldn't help herself. At first she tried sweet, too sweet. "Mommy misses you so much, baby." Then the digs started, quiet and poisonous. "Do you wish you lived with Mommy?" she asked him, smiling like it was normal. Caleb glanced at the staff member, then at me, confused. "I live with Daddy," he said, like he was stating the weather. Amanda's smile hardened. "Well, Daddy might not always be your daddy." The staff member's pen moved. Amanda didn't see it. or she saw it and couldn't stop. Control was her addiction. After visits, I'd get the written reports. Simple, clinical language. Inappropriate comments regarding paternity. Attempted to undermine a child's sense of stability. Disparaging remarks about custodial parents. Every time her mouth ran, she shoveled another load onto her own grave. David told me not to react, not to respond, not to give her anything she could twist. So I didn't. I stuck to the orders. I showed up on time. I communicated in writing only. I kept my tone flat even when my blood wanted to boil. Then the DNA came back. Jason was confirmed. Amanda didn't calm down after that. She got worse. Like losing the lie made her double down on the fight. By the time we headed back to court months later, I wasn't walking in as a man trying to survive embarrassment. I was walking in as a father protecting his kid's peace. The last hearing wasn't dramatic. It was clinical, like watching a judge close a file on someone's favorite lie. Judge Thompson reviewed the pattern the way you review a build estimate. Line by line, no emotion, no mercy for excuses. Amanda's original deception. The long-term financial scheme. The court ordered DNA confirmation that Jason was the biological father. The violations during supervised visits. The repeated attempts to destabilize Caleb with paternity talk. Amanda's lawyer tried again. Soft language, missteps, high emotions. A mother under stress. Judge Thompson didn't buy any of it. Her ruling landed steady and final. Permanent legal and physical custody stayed with me. Amanda remained limited to supervised visitation. Jason was ordered into financial responsibility based on the paternity results and the court's orders. Amanda's face went blank like a screen that lost signal. I didn't celebrate. I just turned and found Caleb in the hallway afterward, waiting with Taylor, clutching a toy he'd brought like armor. When I picked him up, he wrapped his arms around my neck and side, and for a second I held him too tight, like someone might still try to take him if I loosened my grip. After that, rebuilding was quieter than the fight. I cut Jason out of the company like you cut rot out of framing. I bought out what I could, documented the rest, and separated every account he'd touched. Work became clean again, hard, but honest. I started therapy because I wasn't interested in becoming the kind of man who flinches at kindness forever. The first time I said it out loud, I wasn't stupid, I was trusting. Something eased in my chest like a muscle unclenching. Months later, a buddy pushed me into meeting Lauren Davis for coffee. No setups, no speeches, just a table, a quiet place, and a woman who didn't treat my life like entertainment. She listened. Then she asked about Caleb first. Not Amanda. Not the scandal. Caleb. That told me everything I needed to know. Later, weeks, then months, there was a parking lot moment where Caleb reached for her hand without being told. She took it like it was normal, like it was earned, and I felt a new kind of risk settle in. Not fear, not desperation, just the willingness to try again carefully. The run-in with Amanda happened at a grocery store, under fluorescent lights that make everyone look tired. She looked smaller, duller around the edges. Like the world she tried to steal didn't fit her once she had to pay for it herself. She didn't apologize like in the movie. No tears, no begging. Just a quiet, strained, "I'm sorry." Like the words hurt her pride more than they helped me. I nodded. That was all she got. That night, I read Caleb his bear book. The one where the bear gets lost and finds his way home. He curled against my side, warm and safe, and I realized how close I came to losing the simple parts of my life by fighting the wrong way. So here's what I'd tell any man listening. Don't be a walking wallet. Don't confront without counsel. Don't mistake calm for weakness. Get a lawyer early, document everything, and remember this. Fatherhood isn't a DNA percentage. It's who shows up. She didn't take half. I kept what mattered. My son, my name, and my self-respect.
Subscribe and stay one step ahead of cheaters. And trust me, the next story makes this one look like a fairy tale.